So what do we expect when you have a mohel come to your home to do a circumcision? Hi, my name is Rabbi Gadi Levy. I'm a mohel, a specialist in the field of newborn circumcision, and I'm here to describe and show to you exactly what I do when we come out to do your son's circumcision. Join me. The first thing that we do is we'll set up our instruments and get everything ready for the procedure. There are usually 4 instruments that we use, and watch as we get things set up. Now, with all of my instruments ready for the procedure, I will now sit down with the parents and we'll go through each step of the circumcision as well as the aftercare. When I go through a procedure, I like to start with this diagram. This is someone who's already been circumcised, or otherwise we call it the finished product. The penis essentially is made up of the shaft and the head, and someone who's already been circumcised, the foreskin comes up from the body and attaches at the base of the head, like so. A newborn, on the other hand, we have the shaft and the head, and then the foreskin comes up over the top, and there's a tiny little hole for him to pee through and comes back down over here. Now, what's important to note, as you can see over here, the foreskin comes up over the top, and at this point it actually folds in underneath like so. So there's actually 2 layers of foreskin. There's the outer layer and the inner layer. And it's really important to understand and identify these 2 layers, the outer and the inner. An adult, as you can see, there are pockets over here. So an adult who's uncircumcised, they need to clean out this area. This is typically where bacteria can develop, and this is an area where dirt or anything gets caught inside here and it kind of turns into a petri dish, which is really, really dangerous and unhealthy. So someone who's uncircumcised, they need to retract the foreskin in order to be able to clean it. When they retract it, they'll pull it back and it's going to look something like this, where all of the foreskin is pulled down. That way they can clean the head and they can clean this area. So here you can see this double layer of foreskin is now down here, and it's all scrunched up as one long layer. When that unravels, it comes back down like this, or comes back up like this, and that's what we have, the 2 layers over here. Now, a newborn, what's most important to note is this inner layer is attached to the head with a mucous membrane. And the goal, we want to go from this diagram to this diagram over here, which means that this inner layer is going to end up like that. So the first step of the circumcision is I need to separate this inner layer from the head. The way I do that is with a probe. And a probe is going to be this blunt instrument over here. And I have some cream on it to ensure that it doesn't scratch the baby. And the probe will go in and I do this swiping motion to separate this inner layer from the head. The probe usually takes 2 to 3 seconds, so it's very, very fast. And although it is fast, it tends to be the most painful part of the circumcision. If you see someone doing the probe, know that that is a very important part of the procedure. Stage number 2, I'm going to pull the foreskin up. So this is the technique specifically used by mohels. What we're doing is we're trying to stretch the foreskin above this imaginary line. By doing that, we want to isolate the area that we're going to remove from the head itself. So I'll grab the foreskin, stretch it, and then as an act of precaution, I want to make sure that no part of the head gets damaged. So I go in with my thumb and my forefinger and I'll squeeze to make sure that this area is completely dislodged and that this area is ready to be removed. Step number 3 is I'm going to put in the shield, or otherwise known as the mogen. As you can see, this is the mogen, and what's the main goal of it is to protect the head. As you can see over here, this is the mogen. This is the unique instrument that we use specifically for circumcision. It's going to go in there, and if you can imagine my fingers, the foreskin slides in right over there to isolate the foreskin from the head. So it really goes in to separate the head from the foreskin. I'm able to lock it in place and then cut along here. By doing that, I've severed and removed the foreskin, and everything has been stretched. So now I want you to imagine that there are two layers over here. We have the inner layer and then the outer layer that have just been cut. And since I stretched them, I'm going to push them back into place. So the outer layer, it's going to come down to here. The outer layer is going to come down to here. The inner layer is going to come down to here. And then over the next 3 to 5 days, these two layers are going to attach. They're going to scab together to become one. So there you have it. That is the circumcision procedure. The last step, which is probably also a very important step, is to ensure that there is no active bleeding and no infection that develops in this area. As you can see, this is an open wound, and we want to make sure that there's no bleeding that happens in this area. The first thing that I wrap around this area was going to be my bleed seas. This is a natural gauze. These fibers, what they actually do is they will release calcium into any active bleeding. So I'm going to wrap it around right at the base of the head, just like that. And by doing that, the entire area is covered, and by what this fiber does is it releases calcium into the blood. I'll leave that there for a second. And then as you can see over here, I have my gauze with 2 layers of cream. And I'm just going to draw this over here. Imagine this is my gauze, and here I have put out 2 layers of cream. The main ingredient of this cream that I have over here, this green cream, is called Total Tissue Healing Salve. This I get from a naturopath, and it is a phenomenal collection of natural ingredients based on olive oil, comfrey root, white oak bark, marshmallow root, gravel root, lobella, helichrysum, frankincense, a really amazing collection of natural ingredients of herbs, essential oils, and roots. So I have that, and I also have some numbing cream. I'm going to ask you to, straight after the circumcision, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it over just like this. So if you can imagine, here is the head, and here is the open wound. I'm going to fold it over and just squeeze the 2 sides. And what actually happens is this area is going to cover the entire area of the wound. So the cream covers the entire area of the wound, and when he pees, he'll just pee straight through to the other side. And there you have it. That is, I'll change his diaper, I'll swaddle him, and give him back to his mother to nurse. So if you have any other questions or want to learn more, visit us at myhomecircumcision.com.